What is up, guys? It's your bro Jericho here, and I'm actually going to be doing a drawing stream today. I don't know what really inspired this. I just do know that I kind of am intending to do so for quite a while. And now that I actually have the house to myself, I actually have the chance to do so. So you know that's it's always a good option. Oh, always cool. I don't know. See how this goes. So, in case you guys aren't already aware, I do not. I don't really do a lot of stuff on my own unless I absolutely want to, or either unless I feel like doing it offline, which is the problem. And today I have the actual opportunity to do so, you know, as loud as I want, whatever I want. I got off work a little while ago, so I am in a 100% creative mood. The only downside, and that's the only possible downside for you guys, is that it might just be Starbound related, because that is what I have been doing recently. I love every moment of Starbound. I'm having a lot of fun with the game. And today I'm actually going to do this, maybe not just for me, but also possibly for the Reddit that I'm starting to post on, just because, I guess. I don't know, whatever. So here we go. So today, why don't we do something simple? Come on. There. What are we going to do? Well, I know Ramari is always fun, but I don't have the confidence to do that just yet. I know Ruka is fun to draw, but I don't really have the... Whoop whoop indeed! Hey hey yo! Hey yo, welcome to the stream. Alright. So I see absolutely no reason why this stream should be dedicated to only my, I guess you could say, I see no reason why this stream should be dedicated to only my Starbound characters. To all you Starbounders out there, which I myself am one of, I actually intend to work on that Starbound crew a bit more, but I feel like the Sarkozy would probably be better off insofar as, you know, what I'd be doing, because at least in Sarkozy you have the option of, you know, multiple characters. And therein lies the interesting part. Yeah. I don't know who this one person watching now is, but I greatly appreciate it. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh well, I'll find out pretty soon. So, first request! Does anyone want a Starbound character sketched out roughly while we're here? Let me know. Okay. Literally just kind of here for this. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. Actually, why should it only be Starbound? Might just be a bunch of scribbles. Who knows? If we're going to do that, let's pick something we actually want to do. First off, glasses off. I can't really see very far without them, but I don't need to. My computer screen is pretty much in my face. Let's draw Vercel. Yeah, let's draw Vercel. I haven't gotten a chance to really draw the poor fuzzy guy yet, so we'll see how this goes. But we need a dark coloring. Actually, not fuzzy. He's technically feathery, but, you know, whatever. Vercel is an avian. Specifically, he's my avian. But I'm going to do Vercel and Maruma, because those two are fun, and they're actually kind of an actual shipped couple in my story now. So, let's set basic mass. Oh, I'm going to have one hell of a time with that angle. Considering his beak hooks anyways, we'll see how this goes. Oh, I am really going to have a hell of a time with this. I don't draw fuzzies anyways, especially not featheries. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. God, now I don't know what I want to do. Well, what do I usually do when I don't know what I'm doing? Let's set a mood. Aha! Let's do something with a blue-green color. We'll go airbrush as high as we can get it. This is going to hurt my computer for a couple bits, but whatever. Actually, let's set kind of a blue-gray. Kind of a, well, we'll do the tungsten thing. Why not? So, we're going to do a quick, okay, screw the line work. I don't need it. Okay. First things first. Let's set a light blue for the glass. Nah. I don't know what I'm doing! Grrr! Help. Well, to understand what I'm doing, I probably should get a good idea of what I want to do. If I'm going to go that way, then I am actually going to want to start with the walnut. Okay. So, simple enough. Let's start with a base color. Let's add a darker color for the area that I'm going to be doing this in. So, what is the angle I'm going to be going for here? Well, let's add a line work area so I know what I'm trying to do. Now, let's set the rotation back to 0 so I can understand what I'm trying to do here. So, normally, what I want to do is I want to set a horizon line. Now, I don't like straight up and down horizons. So, let's set this at something of a slant. This is actually what I was doing at work today. So, what have you. Now, because of that, let's go to edit and make sure I know where the, okay, line. Now, we'll go back to edit so we actually know where these land. Now, let's bring that out as far as it can go. Bring that out as far as it can go. And we'll decide where this actually lands. Why not there? Okay. So, we'll set that as the vanishing point, which means we're going to do one more here, setting for the platform. Go back to edit so I know exactly what I'm doing this. Next one here for the handrail. Enter. Now, if we're going to do the next one, this is going to be 3-point perspective, which is going to make this kind of annoying. But let's set the next perspective, which means I'm going to hate my life. I don't need to do that far. Now this is kind of a close enough instance. To those of you who are wondering, I'm sitting here with my finger on my screen because I don't know where I'm putting the camera at. Of course, I didn't decide on putting a camera in the first place. So I'm kind of sitting here with my fingertip on the screen so I can actually have my cursor starting this from the right point, because perspective is incredibly important to me. I'm just not always that good at doing it. So, boom. Let's read the next section. And a lot of people are probably going to be incredibly irritated by this, but what can you do? So, I think I'm gonna add maybe 1 or 2 more, just to give a little bit of depth, I guess. And for those of you who aren't aware, your boy Jericho, haha, your boy Jericho enjoys putting himself through misery, apparently. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run an eraser through here and snip these lines at this intersection. And I'll obviously be, editing this in a second. I just need there to be clear breaks between the lines. That's all. The reason why is because I'm actually going to be using the CP edit tool so that I can snip these in the right area. And in case anyone's wondering what that means, it means I'm going to be doing this. Edit, delete CP curve. Now, let's delete you, 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 you. In essence, I'm deleting the lines I don't need, because at that point, okay, we'll go back to translate CP, and let's bring these back to their origin points so that I have clean lines. Clean lines. Anyone ever seen my drawings knows that I despise using these lines. It's not so much I don't like line work, it's just that lines themselves are like so ridiculously meticulous. And yes, I am quite a few tads lazy. Yeah, quite a few tads lazy here. Where's the curve? Okay, I don't want to mess with that. So now that I got that, I can actually edit these into the correct lines they're supposed to be in. So at this point, we'll go back to the line tool. We'll go to this, and we're going to bring that. Yeah, let's bring that here. And then I'll actually let that be an opening from that point. Go back to the edit tool, make sure I know where all these endpoints are. Okay. Line tool one more time, and we'll bring this out here for a handrail. Oh god, I have a lot of work ahead of me. Okay, so as per one of my favorite things to do, I enjoy separating between background and faux background. So at this point, we're actually going to go to the airbrush once again. We're going to pick this color here, and we're actually going to bring it a tad darker. It's not so much because I know what I'm doing, so much as it is, let's pick this. I want everything that is not this area. Which means we're going to grab the select pen, we're going to go over that handrail, and clear out the gaps. And then we're going to go selection, invert. Now if I'm correct, that should technically... Okay. Now at this point, I can probably just use the bucket tool. Let's use this, and we will bring this down literally 1, maybe 2 pixels. Because all we want to do is get that line into that area here, so that it's actually halfway between the handrails, so that I have a lot less I need to worry about. Okay. Next, let's go ahead and keep that highlighted. We're going to go into the brush. We're going to bring this up a little bit higher. Now, what am I going to do here? I don't know, but I'll figure it out. Oh, I do know what I'm going to do. Here, let's go ahead and add here, and we are going to select this entire area here. And we're going to do the same thing. Because we're going to do bucket, we're going to pick that color again, and we're going to fill that area. Now, oh shit, that was Control S, not Control D. Control D, we're deselecting. Now let's make the line work invisible for a moment. We have our handrail and we have our actual, whatever. So this is actually based off of a drawing that I was doing at work today, as everyone knows, which means it's very, very likely that what I'm going to do is I'm actually probably going to add a cocky little Vercel kind of hovering over, the railing here, staring down at a very, cat with her paw stuck in the fish tank, Ruka, right here. Now, I can't guarantee that's actually what I'm going to do, but it is definitely something I have in mind. And that in itself sometimes becomes a bit difficult because it is, as I will openly say, kind of ambitious, even for me. So I'm actually going to keep that layer there. But now we have our foreground. Oh, shit. We have our foreground, we have our background. Yeah, that means we want to do this. No, that actually will be the foreground. Okay. Well, not really. But we're going to select this here because we're going to select that spot. We're going to select that spot. Then we're going to go to the select pen. We're going to actually bring that up again. Oh, shoot. No, we're going to deselect. We're going to bring that. It was select. Okay. Because what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have this entire area here selected. And we're going to go back to this layer, and we are going to tap. Yes. Deselected. Now we have the actual railing selected, which means we make the line work invisible. We have our actual railing. This is incredibly cheaty for even for me, but what can you do? So we're going to go Control Z. We're going actually no. I think we're going to add a few more sections into that, and we are going to go here. Actually, no, we're going to deselect here. What we're going to do is we're going to select everything that is not this coloring, and we're going to selection invert. So now we have our sections selected. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a tone, I guess. Because the concept here is we're going to try to make this to where I don't need the line work layer. Now, as anyone who knows me will say, that is incredibly ambitious and probably not going to pan out well. But all I have to say to that is yes. And you can take this advice and remind yourself in your own drawings. Kidding, guys, kidding. I'm not that much of a dick. I mean, my brother may beg to differ, but no one listens to the younger brother anyways. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to set a slight distinction for the ramp types. And what I mean by that is, looks terrible, but at least you know what I'm doing. So let's rotate this a bit so I actually have a better angle of approach at this. We're going to go back to the brush. Actually, you know what, let's set the airbrush. So we're using this. Let's bring the airbrush size itself down, and let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit further. I mean, it looks terrible momentarily. That's because it is terrible. But this is the start. That handrail is going to give me so much grief, I know it. Well, if anyone can do it, it'll be me. So, now from there, I have something to work with, which means I can get rid of this. Now, I'm going to go to this layer. Actually, no, let's add one more line work. And what we're going to do is we're going to designate the angles of this building, which means that we're going to enter, we're going to go edit, and we're going to bring that CP curve all the way up, setting one line of vertical nature. Actually, no. Let's make that slightly slanted. It's a space station, which means the concept of up and down are supposed to be a little wonky. Oh, this might be bad. Okay. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to go back to the line, and we're going to bring one across here, adding it from an up from underneath perspective, which also means keeping true to that old vanishing point, or somewhere roughly close to it. Let's bring that up here for the first outside of the, I guess you could say, for the first outside the spawn teleporter room. We're going to make this a little bit closer. So let's go ahead and erase pretty close down that way, and pretty close down that way. We're going to go to edit real quick, and we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set that corner to be a little bit further off kilter than it was. We're going to go to delete CP curve. We're going to delete that. We're going to delete that. We now have the first line. And you know, my mother is probably going to kill me when she sees this. She does graphic design, which means this might absolutely offend her. Or, who knows, I might get lucky and I might actually, she might be impressed. Who knows? So, as the stream is actually a couple seconds ahead of where I'm at, I am going to be getting your comments a little bit late. Okay, I have the scene itself. I have a dash of perspective. Haha, me, perspective. Since when? Perspective might be a little weird, but now that I got that set up, I can actually start doing some interesting things with the room. For instance, let's do that. Let's take the actual brush, we'll get a dab for the color room, and we'll add a bit of shadowing because it is on the far end of the room. Now, I'm going to be doing basic ship light stuff, which means I'm going to be having the far corners have the most shadow, especially underneath this. So, there's going to be a lot of blue, and I intend to flatten the entire thing out if I can. Ooh, I wanted a brush, not airbrush, thank you. Let's go ahead and blur that out a little bit. I know blurring is kind of a sin of mine even, but this time it's actually important. So, because of the nature of this, I want the far ends of the wall to be as, you know, shifty as possible. And because these are technically, as the game puts it, these are tungsten plated walls, I might actually end up adding the plating lines, which is going to be a bitch, but if anyone can do it, as I always say, it is the first person. And that's actually not really to say that I'm amazing. I noticed a lot of people have taken that out of context, or rather taken it a different way than it was meant to be. When I say if anyone can do it, it's blank. It usually means if anyone can do it, it's the person who's having the hardest time. And as I said just a second ago, it's the first person, as I'm now taken to saying, which, you know, as I said, is literally meant to be if anyone can do it, it's the person who's having the hardest time. If there's one thing that your boy Jericho, haha, but if there's anything I enjoy doing, it's actually inspiring, aspiring, and, you know, supporting my fellow artists, gamers, and whatever have you, you know, YouTubers included. You guys will actually usually have my respect for the fact that you guys put so much effort into everything. I know that I myself have been rather lazy in that last respect, and I should have, you know, no room to talk, but it is what it is, and what can you do? So, we have step 1 done. Let's go ahead and add a bit more darkness here for a second. And because I'm here, I might do this. Take this color, and I'll start working this back a little bit. Only because it is a landing, it is not a solid, you know, wall all the way across, which means the shadow is going to fade a bit. Oh, how long do I normally work on pictures? Depends on whether or not I actually finish them, because if you want to take that little conundrum into account, I can be on it indefinitely. Oh god, that was not meant to be as depressing as it sounded. Okay, so let's go back to my brush. Oh, let's go back to our darkest color. Boom. And because of the way that this platform is, the farthest reach is going to be the darkest. Okay. So as you guys have noticed, I'm doing this in different sections of the background. I am not yet, I am not yet doing outright work of any kind. I'm sticking to a very non-committal background work that is very easy to work on. I'm trying to keep things light, airy, and probably not too very derp. I guess I'm just trying to make sure that it doesn't get, too deep. It doesn't get too, in depth. I do want to work on this for a while, but I don't want it to take legitimately all night. I do not have unlimited time, as I do live with family, and while I do love my own art streams, they don't love to let it be a stream. They prefer to let it be a, hey, let's audioly ship post and, audioly photobomb the non-visual project. I'm the middle child. It's kind of expected. I know that's terrible, but it is kind of the case. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the most of the time that I have before that becomes an issue. Be aware, because I am not good at because I'm not good at keeping things, in my drawings correct to proportion and correct to, I guess you could say, foreshortening. I'm not good at keeping these things as accurate as they should be. This could end up being a complete and total bust, in which case I'll be very sad if it does. But just making sure you guys know so no one is disappointed if it turns out that way. Especially not me, because I'd be very sad. So we have a nice section of wall 2 done. And as I said, I'm only doing this in this order because it makes a lot more sense this way. Like, it helps me remember which, I guess you could say, which spot in the area is what. And it does help provide an idea of where the light source is coming from, even if it is not very upfront. Like, you can tell that there's, faded light across the walls. Ow! Okay, popping my back. I feel better. So let's go back to our line work. We're going to select this, and then we're going to do this one more time. We're going to go back here. We're going to go to brush. So the ceiling, as all the light is directed downward, is going to be a lot darker. So I'm going to start with a lot darker angles. And I'm working at a very funky angle to accomplish this. Hang on. So there's that. And let's go ahead and start working this out a bit. Oh god, I'm going to have to do the door. Okay. So, disclosure, I'm going to have to do the actual door to this, which the space stations have, I think, 4 doors that you start with. And I'm going to say there's 6 because it is a 3-dimensional object. Or not object, but like a 3-dimensional room. So I'm actually going to have 6 doors here. But only maybe 1 or 2 are going to be visible. And I'm not yet compensating for that. So there's that. Okay. Now let's turn this back right side up. We're going to deselect. Boom. Now this is going to be the interesting part because I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then I'm going to go selection invert. So I have the lines highlighted, and I'm going to add the darkest shade that all of this has to offer. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to use airbrush at full density, and I'm just going to go over this area and make this as dark as it gets. This is kind of how I cheat about, doing lines, because I don't like line work, but when you make that layer invisible, you can still see what I was trying to do. Now we're going to go back to the line work one more time because there is one wall I spaced on. That one. So we're going to go brush. We're going to use the darks that we used here. And this is incredibly simple because all I'm doing is this. Now because this is a, closer wall, and it's actually foreshortened a lot, I'm going to actually blur across here. I'm going to add a bit more of its base color. And I'm going to push this as far as I can. Because I'm going to push this back as far as I can because this is a very close wall. Boom. Now, let's go back here, and let's take a look at the fruits of our first endeavor. You can see where there's actually, light sources. It provides a sense of perspective, despite the fact that I'm usually not very good at that. But oh well. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the line work layer because it is no longer necessary. Layer 3 currently is not used for anything. We're going to go filter, hue and saturation. I might change the hue for this, the walls to be a bit more on the blue side. We're going to take saturation down to give that that actual, what's referred to as supposed to be tungsten. And we're going to raise the, actually no, we're going to do that in contrast. Okay, so we're going to go filter, brightness, and contrast, and we're going to raise brightness a bit. We're going to bring contrast up a bit further. No, let's keep the contrast as it is. We're going to take down, yeah, we're going to take down color deepen. Okay. There's the difference. We're going to do the same thing to this one. Filter, hue, actually, boom, concentration, see brightness. We'll bring brightness up a bit. Bring color deepen down. Okay, we're going to go back to filter, hue, and saturation. Now, I think we brought it a bit more blue. We brought saturation down. We brought luminescence up a bit. I think. I may have just messed that up. But, oh well. Because I have some stuff I need to fix anyways. So, we have a half hour of what Raymond does in some of his drawings, and has not actually done in any of his drawings so far. Like, I'm going to show absolutely no regret or remorse here, but so far I actually have not done this in any of my drawings, so I should kind of be ashamed of myself. So we're going to pick the darker color. We're going to go to the brush tool. We're actually going to go over this with that darker color. I think I probably did that to begin with. And we're going to go to the brighter color. We're going to do the brush tool. I want to say we might have to do this in a very, very meta sense. Oh yeah, we're going to have to do this in a very, very, very time-consuming sense because I was lazy about it, I think. Nah, I'll worry about that later. Whoa! Hey, 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 hey. We're just going to airbrush over it. I'll worry about that later. So, so to anyone curious, this is usually what the backgrounds look like when I'm done with them. So you can see just how lazy I am. Very lazy. Very, very lazy. Okay. Now, let's set a window. Because this is over the wall, but it's not part of the wall, I can do it this way. Now we're going to bring the brightness up a bit. And we're going to pick a nice little spot in the wall to add that window. Yeah. Well, actually, let's start with something darker. It's just so I can see it. So start with that. Actually, you know what? Clear the layer. Let's make this the first option for the door. Now this might actually be a little difficult because of the nature of this supposed door. Oh, let's do it this way. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So we're going to go back over that. We're going to go back to the airbrush. We're going to Kabuski. Erase layer. I'm better at this. Come on, think about this logically. Okay, so we're going to go back to the airbrush. We're going to go one layer here, which should actually be good. I'm going to do one across here. I think I got that right. And we're going to do one across here, which I will fiddle with in a bit. But now that we got the baseline, let's bring the hardness all the way to the top, and let's go ahead and trim this down a little bit. I might have needed to move that off the side, I don't know. Is that so? Interesting to watch. Okay, I can kind of work with that. So we're going to select this area. we're going to control T to free transform it, and we're going to skew this slightly to match the proportions it's supposed to have. And that's only because I'm a stickler for keeping proportions accurate, and I'm not very good at it. So, I want to say this is probably where it should go. And the last one is going to be the most fascinating, which is aligning this wall, which I think I might have it now, question mark. Boom. Deselect. This is the sin and atrocity I've committed. Let's go to eraser, and let's erase up this way, so that when we minimize that, we can actually see what we're trying to work on here. Honestly, this is pretty pathetic to say, but this is probably more effort than I've put into these videos, or rather, more effort than I've put into this project than I usually do in my videos. Because if anyone, you guys have seen my videos, I usually don't add that much thought to these. In case you're wondering why I'm adding the sets, it's because I know exactly my next step is adding the 2 characters. So we're going to do that. And then, of course, we have that. Because the overlight, this is actually going to be for the lighting, which I don't want to fiddle with yet, but we're going to go lighting, boom. Now, because you are actually in front of the doorway, but behind the railing, you are going to be Vercel. And potentially Maruma, but we'll decide. Actually, no. Let's do it that way. There. Now, because of the situation this is in, you are Ruka, which I recently learned is kind of Spanish slang for, I'll let you guys finish that thought. Anyway, so first things first, let's add a layer in each of these. Let's add a layer. Actually, I think I can probably do it this way. Oh boy. Control Z. You are not Z. Oh, okay. We're going to do that, and we're going to actually do that. Boom. I love having my one viewer, but I kind of wish, my streams were a little bit more effective than this, but whatever. It is what it is. So we're going to do that. We're going to add layer 7 in there. So we're going to call this form. Now, in the story I'm writing, this was all very well and good, but, problems. Because frankly, while Vercel and Maruma were actually on the ship, they were originally tasked with, I guess you can say, they were tasked with, hold on, I'm actually going to do it this way. Let's bring that there, and we're going to add you, we're going to call you Door. And we're actually going to say you are the guideline. So, they were originally tasked to expand the station for colonial use. To anyone who has, read my story up to date, which is incredibly picky few, except for those on my subreddit. Oh, not mine, but on the subreddit for Starbound subreddit. I don't know if I'm going to have Maruma or Vercel in front of the other. And I don't know if this is going to be mean Ruka or if it's going to be nice Ruka. But anyway, Ruka got to be pretty lewd partway through everything. And that's actually supposed to be her midway point between Vercel's story Ruka and Valak Ruka, because Vercel, she ran into Vercel before she ran into Valak. Let me put it that way. Despite the fact that all of them are characters I've made as, their own captains. But in the, I guess you could say, words of a friend of mine, from high school, he says that it's a little far-fetched to believe that there is only one survivor, despite the fact that you have other characters. And he kind of approached the thought that, well, if you're the only survivor and they're the only survivor, then doesn't those, you know, sets of information kind of counteract each other? And you know what? He actually is correct in this. So there is that. That it kind of negates the purpose of saying that you are the last survivor if you are not. Now, I'm going to do here what I did not do. Oh, crap. I need to actually have that layer selected. I'm going to do here what I did not do on paper, which is to say provide reference to the ship before I provide reference to the drawing. Oh, God. This is going to be evil. So I do have a paper, I guess you could say I have a paper sketch I was working on at work, and, you know, I'm kind of having a pain in the ass here. But I have a paper reference here that I was working with, but it's incredibly hard for me to go from, oh, shit, we're going Control Z. We're actually going to bring this above the platform. I forgot how this is supposed to go. Okay, so, because Ruka is supposed to be above the platform so that you can actually see what she's doing. So if my memory of this perspective is correct... Oh, God. Perspective. We're going to have her looking up. From about right here, we're going to set the angle of gaze this way. Attention pointed this way, which tells me where her eyes are supposed to go. Let's bring the brush size down a bit. We're going to bring her reptilian snout, or rather, closer to amphibian, so the cheekbone width. And then... God, this is going to suck. Now, I'm going to say this is probably... Okay. In the story, she already had her EPP and all that stuff when she had met Valak. And that would mean that there would be her Enviro Protection Pack literally on her at the moment. Only thing is... Actually, no, I might actually stick with that. That's not bad. Now, considering Ruka is not just a very, I guess you could say, promiscuous individual in her own right, she currently is learning how to be that. Or rather, this is what piques some of that in this drawing. Which means at this point, she's going to be more curious than anything. Which is dangerous. Bad Ruka. But remembering the way that she dresses means that we have this going on. And yes, I know this is going to be terrible. I hate this. I mean, I love it, but I hate it. So Maruma currently wasn't actually in the picture when I had done this, so this is going to be interesting. But we're going to go to Ruka, and on her guideline layer, we are going to use the airbrush to add her base color. And that is actually going to keep me from going insane later. Now, I want more of a reddish yellow for this. Now, I use crayon to do the rough, I guess you could say. What is it? I use crayon to do the base colors and the base sketches because it provides enough room to work under and above it and not look terrible. Line work. Lots of line work if I choose to do this the way I did the paper drawing. Oh God, okay. Ruka's guideline color. So I actually did something interesting for Ruka's eye patch, and I'm actually going to do a quick heads up here. So I'm going to say, let's do a quick let's do a very quick and very lazy eye patch, because I am very quick and I'm very lazy. Because Ruka does indeed use an eye patch. You know, it's whatever. Now, the thing for Ruka is that, you know, she holds very, very little respect, I guess you can say, for other players. Well, not so much players, but she holds very little. She holds little respect for other beings in her immediate vicinity. And, you know, it's basically, she was designed with a concept that anything and everything is her play toy, which was, you know, supposed to be a very, very, you know, I don't know how to put this. It was supposed to be a very domineering, almost, you know, dominatrix way to look at everything, because Ruka, and I'm ashamed to admit this because of what it means, but Ruka was my, she was my cheat character. Let me just put it that way. Vercel I was working on after I had done, you know, most of my, you know, character stuffs. And Vercel was actually kind of like my return to the important roots behind what my characters are supposed to mean to me. Well, that and he ended up becoming just kind of like, you know, yeah, he just kind of was, you know. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a very orange color that's supposed to be reminiscent of the Protectorate's thing, but that's hard to do because they have kind of like a yellow color for the matter manipulator. Okay, the way I always did this was I would... Okay, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do it this way. This is going to be interesting. Because the way the Vercel's eye patch is, it's actually a symbol of Starbound and that of the Terrain Protectorate, which means that it's symmetrical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by adding some of the base stuff, and we're going to bring this down on the side because of the way that the mana manipulator is. And I'll just decide which of these two actually came out better, and I'll work with that. Because a lot of this was very much improv when I was doing it, and that has not changed much now. Okay, so I'm going to grab the eraser. We're going to bring that size down. We're going to erase down the center, and we're going to start shaping the matter manipulators. Actually, technically, if I were true to this, I would actually have left this a solid chunk here, a solid chunk here, set the point of symmetry, and then started refining down the way I did in my drawings. Because I actually did this in solid, confident pen at work. So we're going to start with that, setting the first bit, start with the second bit, which separates between the matter manipulator itself and the rest of the background. Then we rotate the drawing a bit, and then we defer between, we defer the top of the matter manipulators, and we set the bottom. And then recognize that we set the first triangle here. We set an orb here, and then we set the second differential triangles. You know, screw it, we'll do it that way. Now his eye patch was actually very much improv when I had done it. So, yeah. There's that bit of information. And as I said, I'm not doing this so that they both can match up. I'm going to pick whichever side actually ended up better. Which is a very shaky concept, especially for me. Oh god, this is going to be terrible. Because for some reason or another, you can never match the finesse on paper when you're doing, you know, digital. For some reason or other, that's been like my curse, is like I can do something beautiful on paper, but I can never match it on, you know, a digital file. And who knows, maybe it's because I don't have the steady hand I wish I had. Whatever. So, let me curve this. I might have to expand one of these. And then let's bring this back to my airbrush. And use little tiny feathery lines to bring this back into the shape it's supposed to be. That just occurred to me. Why didn't I just do this? So we'll start with the simple part. The dead center. Boom. Then we set the base for the main part of the matter manipulator, because I'm going to be editing this. Then comes triangle 1. I'm going to make this more of a wing than a triangle, even though it's actually a triangle on this eye patch. This is going to be a triangle though. Now we go to the edit, and I'm actually going to be doing this with my mouse, not my whatever the thing is called, you know, it's whatever. But I'm going to be doing this with my mouse, not my stylus. So I'm actually going to delete that curve so that I can do that with the edit. We're going to translate, so we're going to bring this out this way. Bring this up this way. We're going to bring a straightening line. Let's do it this way. There. Now, we're going to delete this. We're going to retranslate it. Okay. So we're going to keep that as far apart as I can get away with. Now this might actually look quite a bit messy. Actually, no, it's supposed to be this way. Okay, so we're going to bring this way, and this way, because the matter manipulators did arc backward a bit, but they weren't as far forward as I made it look. That looks wobbly, I don't like it. But I suppose I'll have to work with it for now. So this, I'm actually just going to edit these until I like the way they look. Oh god, isn't that a trick question? So a lot of this was supposed to be just kind of, you know, visually appealing. Okay, I think I can work with that. Here's the test. Bucket, and we're going to use that. Deselect. We're going to delete the line work layer. Control T. And we're going to shift and increase the size. Up and down. A little bit. Enter. Now what we're going to do is we're going to circle, Control C, Control V, Control T. Suppose I'll have to work with that. Oh god. Deselect. Merge down. Erase that layer. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to run the eraser down through the center of that, because we're going to consolidate these a bit. Because I don't like the way that looks. The matter manipulators are too far apart. The matter manipulator handles are too far apart. So now we're going to lasso here. And we're just going to bring this together. And Control D. And then we're going to move this to where it's supposed to be. Boom. That's way for much. It's way too much effort for the simple like symbol of the terrain protectorate, but it's whatever. let's do the part that I didn't want to do. Now, actually, real quick, is your eye patch part? Yeah, your eye patch part. Okay, good, good, good. So we're going to toss layer 8 for a second, because we're going to use the crayon, and we are going to decide how we're going to position Vercel here. Which means I have to keep in mind what his, I guess you can say, proportions are. Now, that's not easy, because Vercel is not actually a very easy character to draw. So we're going to start with the simple part, starting with moving this over the platform so I can actually keep track of what I'm doing. Oh god, we're going to have to shrink this a lot. Yeah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to erase the crayoning I had. I'm going to redo the crayon, but I'm going to do it in a much darker opacity, or sorry, much darker shade, so that I can mostly see what I'm doing. I suppose I could probably get away with a lighter shade too, but I don't want to. Let's try this again. I had this done in my drawing, and I don't remember how I did it. So don't judge me. Don't judge me, monkey. I don't like this. I don't like being this unsure. Well, when in doubt, set the base proportions. What's his foot doing? Up here, toe 1, toe 2, toe 3. Arms, resting, elbow. Actually, let's bring that elbow down further. So we're going to bring elbow down here. Arm up, wrist going down and under. Shoulder. Spine, because he's being a cocky little shit. Neck. Clavicles. Okay. No, this is not. I repeat, this is not the way I draw my characters when I'm doing my speed paints or other things. It's just I have to draw a sarcastic little shit, and it's not easy. So let's set the beak. Let's set the main torso, which means he's leaning over the railing. Secondary. In fact, let's do that. Hips. Other leg is actually extended just perfectly fine straight up and down. Because I'm going to say that this ramp here actually has, you know, a rise to it. But even so, boom. Let's bring the layer back onto the platform. Oh god, am I ever gonna... I don't want to move it under. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I might have to do this. Either separate the handrail and of the platform. Actually, no, I don't see why I can't do it that way. Boom, 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 boom. Ah, this is gonna be interesting. Select pen. Let's bring this higher. We're going to go selection, invert. Control C. We're gonna add a new layer. Actually, no, we don't need to do that. Control V. You're on your own layer. Deselect. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to erase the platform in this area. Because now that I don't need it there specifically, I can make that one visible. And I can actually move the handrail of the platform. Well, I don't know. I might need to do some, you know, interesting stuff here. So if I were to keep the platform over Vercel, but move the handrail under, I can have him leaning over it being the little sarcastic shit he is. And while I'm at it, Control V, and let's do this way. Let's make the walls back to the colors they're supposed to be. And we're going to make this one, we're actually going to move it up ever so slightly. And, oh god, I went have to do this. Okay, let's go Control T. Control V. Actually, let's hit enter here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do filter, hue saturation. Let's bring luminescence up. Okay. Now, let's make Vercel, and let's make Ruka invisible. And let's get rid of the expansion door and the basic walls, so I can stop psyching myself out here. And then we're going to Control T one more time. This time, Control Z, Z, actually no. Control T. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to do a bit of rotation to do this right. Although I could probably also get away with just, expanding, but we'll see. Yeah, I'd need to do it that way, but it also means I have to do this. Bringing that up would bring the angle back to its proper area. And then I could probably do something similar to this, but I'd have to take a look down here. And I could probably do that. Good. Enter. I think I can work with that. Now let's bring them up. Let's reverse that so that we actually have filter, brightness and contrast. Let's bring the brightness up a bit. So it's actually reflection. Okay. Whew. Okay. More backgrounds and stuff I didn't want to do in the first place. I'm going to merge down and delete. Now we've actually got a lazy handrail done. Oh, ow. Okay. Let's put the expansion door back on there where it's supposed to be. We're going to do the lighting. Oh, God. Okay. I don't want to do that right now. The walls are going to be a little annoying. No lie. The blurb. I don't really know what to make of that. Okay. So, let's go ahead and tired. Okay. Let me go back to what I'm doing here. Oh, I have 3 viewers. That's awesome. Okay. So, I'm going to save Maruma's line work for a bit later. Let's go to Vercel. Let's open that back up. Let's go to the guideline. Let's open up a new layer. We'll throw it under the guideline for block color. And I think we're going to use the airbrush for this. Now, in my game, I accidentally made Vercel a yellow character when I tried to recreate him from my story. Here, he is going to... Oh, no, I made Vercel red in my game, but he's supposed to be yellow in the story. So, let's set his base colors. And because I actually did already write this scene, I do know what his clothing at the moment is. Also, I gave him the weird plumage. You can judge me all you want. I don't care. I'm having fun here. So, in this scene, let's see. Let's go main feather color. Let's set a bit more of an orange and bring it down a bit for that goofy beak of his. In the story, Vercel is kind of like the story of what happens when absolutely nothing goes right. And that's kind of how I've written him, and I feel bad doing so because I know that he's capable of so much more. Okay. Now, I do agree I am using very, very saturated colors in this, and for that I think I somewhat apologize. I don't know. Okay. So, let's go to a bit of a blue. We'll bring it to a somewhat desaturated navy blue, because that's actually the color robe he was wearing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set the base robe itself. Let's see. So, we're going to go robe color 1, and then we'll do a light blue trim color. Now, let's go back to the robe color. And I realized that he actually has a regular robe sleeve. And since he's being a sarcastic little shit, his, shoulder's going to be like way up here. Then let's set the main block of what he's doing. His arm would have extended about to here and then gone back up and pulled it under, which provides a really strange look when you think about it. And in this one, I'll have it doing the same thing, but on the opposite side. Now, the context to this might be a little strange if you haven't read the story, and I actually haven't provided the most recent update of the story, so this whole scene might be a little weird. But basically, what happened is that like Maruma and Vercel had gotten stuck on this whole space station thing, accidentally marooned, as I like to put it, though they're just kind of like stuck there at the moment. But they were stuck on this whole space station thing. And while they were stuck, Ruka had seen, or they had met another Florin, and, well, this other Florin is psychotic. And, she was supposed to be. It was kind of like the whole, she's not a happy camper. Oh, hello! Yeah, hi! And yes, I do use airbrush when I'm setting the base things. I prefer to use a regular brush normally, but it's whatever, I guess. So now that I got the over area done, I'm going to actually work on. Crap! I'm gonna have to navigate. But okay. So let's go ahead and add the base thing for the secondary part of the robe, which is I'm going to start with just the main body. And he was actually leaning over. And for this, he has a dash of the robe that's peeking out under the railing. Now, a lot of this I'll be erasing to make this match, but, whatever. So the next step is he actually brings this way, because that's going to be trimmed out. I'm going to have that extend this way, and it's going to vanish under the platform. This is actually going to go straight down because his leg is extended downward. From there, all I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this way, and now I have a guideline for what the actual cloth itself is doing. He actually pulled this from Maruma's wardrobe, but it's not really a female thing. It's actually meant to be a little more masculine, but I might not have the artistic style to bring that out. And my mind says I could have used Paint Bucket, but my perfectionist sense says I shouldn't. Now, I'm going to use the eraser to trim this into the proper shape. Well, actually, no, why don't I just use the... yeah, I'm just going to use the airbrush. Okay. So I'm going to use a darker trim across that way. Well, actually, not darker, I'm going to use a trim across this way, and I'm going to bring it upward. I feel like... oh, I can see! Good. Okay. So basically in this scene, Vercel had done something really stupid, or rather, usually referred to as stupid for anyone who knows Ruka. He called her on her shit. Which is really weird because in most instances that's incredibly frowned upon. But in this one he got away with it because he was actually correct. Oops. Supposed to be using the airbrush, thank you. Let's bring this brush size down a bit. So actually, yeah, in this regard, he had done something that others found stupid because this is the same Highlot that had, like, outright smacked her pilot because he wanted to run. But basically, in this regard, he had caught her pretty much being a peeping Tom, and he didn't appreciate that. And granted, this does set some of the character arc for Ruka in later sections of the story, but that didn't make him any happier to know that. And he actually doesn't know that per se. It's just he's not any happier that it happened. Now, at this point, there. In this point, the cloth is actually overlapping a bit because it is kind of an interesting angle. And at that point, I'm actually going to set the difference between my drawing on paper and my drawing digitally. And that is, so let me make that a guideline, eraser. We're going to erase this down a bit. We're going to bring this down a bit more. We're going to go back to airbrush, bring the size down, and I'm going to fix this spot here because it will drive me nuts if I don't. There. Now I have a couple really obnoxious things I have to fix now. A lot of really obnoxious things I have to fix. So, let's go back to his accent color. And underneath all of this, oh shit, underneath all of this, I'm going to place his foot. Oh, I mean, I'm going to have to actually look at where this ends, which means I'm going to erase the guideline for just a second so I can set where this actually ends. Let's eliminate the walls. There. Now, I can set his foot. Oh god, I might have to bring Vercel over the platform anyways. That's gonna look terrible. Yep, it looks terrible. Oh well. So, I'll actually set his feet more accurately here in a bit. I mean, I don't approve of the way I'm doing this usually, but this is different circumstances. Because that is terrible perspective and I know it. So I'm going to go to the platform and I'm actually going to select this spot here, selection invert, going to go to Vercel, let's go to his feet, we're going to erase that, go to the next layer cloak, erase that, next layer cloak, we're going to erase that. Boom. Now Vercel is put in the place he's supposed to be. Put the walls back. Let's make the guideline invisible. Woohoo! Okay, so quick heads up, as I actually haven't used Fire Alpaca or Metabang. It's on my desktop, but I haven't gone around to using it. So, you know, I will openly accept the judgment for that one. I just used Psy because before then it was improvement to I used GIMP. I used GIMP. So that's actually why I use Psy now, is because I use GIMP. Used to. There's actually a picture of Mangle that's floating around somewhere because of that, but I think it's just left to die on my Facebook wall. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing now. Okay, so next, I think I might start trimming down his things. Now that I got the guideline, what I might do is I might actually, yeah, I'm gonna save this. Control C, and we're going to erase the guideline, Control V, and deselect. Yeah, I didn't like GIMP. GIMP was terrible. Well, I mean, I suppose it's good for what it's what you know. I suppose GIMP is acceptable for some things, but what I was doing, it was not. Foot, face cloak. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase the areas that are not applicable to what I'm doing. Oh, what's the first layer? Okay, so I'm going to select that. I'm going to bring it. It's as cold as it can get because it's navy blue, but I'm going to bring it darker. And I'm going to airbrush this down a bit further so it matches the area it's supposed to be. Okay. Actually, let's pick that color again, because it is very close to black when you don't have anything to compare it against. But let's go back up to the main cloth color. Yeah. And let's add that as its next darkest. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and airbrush the actual correct expansion in. I do this in a very lazy way. I don't do the details I don't need to. Okay, so let's do it this way. And then erase this down. And then let's double check that. Oh yeah, I don't want to do that. Oh crap. Wrong layer. Let's go back to the correct layer. Let's go ahead and use let's save that one more time. Let's go back up to the top layer. We are going to rewrite history, ladies and gentlemen, by putting this back where it was supposed to be in the first place. Let's go back to the correct layer. I'll think about it. I'm actually going to save this though. Now that should cut down on some of the RAM used now that it's no longer an unsaved drawing. Although, oh god, it did not like that. Okay. So, this actually should be a lot better now. There was lag because there was saving being done, and, you know, my computer didn't really like that. This is going to be interesting. So I'm on the correct layer, which means I'm going to select this one more time, and I'm going to bring this back down the way I intended to do last time. I mean, if I were smart, well, I don't know. Maybe if I were smart, I just would do that anyways. I was going to say, maybe I could have just, you know, added this section that I was planning to add and worked with it that way. But I think I prefer to do it the way I'm currently doing it, even though this is kind of a lazy way to do it. I just want to make sure that his knee is following the right shape and it's not just a blob. As last time I checked, I don't have blob joints, and he shouldn't either. So actually, what's that? Yeah. As I said, I actually have Medibang's. I have Medibang's installer on my desktop. I'm just lazy and haven't added it. So there's that. Actually, we're going to add one more layer, which is going to be dedicated to the shadow of his cloak. Oh, robe. Whoa, okay. So we have to do this again. Let's go back to the walls. We're going to select this. Oops, not walls. Control D. I'm going to go to the platform. Select this, selection, invert, eraser on layer 16. Boom. Now we're actually going to rename layer 16 to be inner cloak. Why not? Layer 14, foot. Cloak body. Arms. I have some interesting ways I name my things. So there's that. Ugh. Okay. So let's make Vercel's knee look all pretty, shall we? Brush. And I've got the darker color currently chosen. And I'm going to start by adding shadow. We're going to go to brush, bring it down a lot further. And let's start adding that shadow. Actually, let's do that with the airbrush first. Now let's go ahead and bring the rotation a little bit closer to normal. And that way. Oh, that's going to be interesting. I haven't done shading like this in a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to brush instead of crayon. And I'm going, oh no, I should blur this. Whoa, that's way heavier on the blur than I wanted it to be. So I'm blurring so I can pick a nice middle tone so that when I use the crayon tool, let's see, yeah. So that when I use, when I use the brush tool, it'll actually blur, when I use the brush tool, it'll actually blur it the way I want it to. And therein lies the real interesting part, because sometimes that doesn't happen the way I want it to. Plus it adds a nice mid-tone, mid-tone really. Just mid-tone in general, I think. We're going to bring the density up a bit further. And we're going to use a bit darker now. And we're actually going to do it this way now. Bring that down here. I'm going to use a bit of darkening here. Okay. Now I do understand that this is an incredibly dark shade to use for the area, and you probably won't even notice it when I'm, originally working on it, but, it means a lot to me to use the correct, I don't know, I wouldn't exactly say correct shade, but it means a lot to me to use the correct shading technique, I guess. This might look terrible, or it might look amazing. I won't know until I'm done. Correct color, dude. A nice, very low saturation color. Well, very low is probably pretty relative. But it's supposed to be a very silky clothing piece. So I want it to reflect that. Okay, now from there, and I'm probably going into excruciating levels of detail just for something as simple as, you know, the knee of a robe. But this is important to me. And I probably messed up the direction for this, but, you know, whatever. Airbrush. Let's see, are you the one that has the color? Yeah, you are. Arms has. Okay. Let's go back to brush. Let's go cloak body. And we're going to want to bring the brush size up. Oh, I know what I forgot with cloak body. I miss arms. There's something of a sash, but you know what? I'm going to ignore that now. Now let's use the brush. There, now that's better. So we're going to have that actually center from around the waist. I'm having it center from the waist because that's where actually the darkest area is going to be coming from. Brush. Now let's bring a bit more normal into that. Specifically around the hip area. Around here. I know the highlight is going to be interesting. Mostly keeping in mind where it's coming from. And in this case, it's actually coming from the light that's going. There's going to be one that's above him. Let's remember to set the actual highlights where they're supposed to go. Now, this is actually starting to offend me personally because I know I can do much better than this. Okay. So a lot of that's in shadow, but this is not. Now, because of the way the light is, the actual back of the hip is not in shadow. That's not in shadow. Remember, Raymond, do not be afraid to remind yourself of normalcy in the colors. Actually, here, I might actually have better luck adding dark back in. Only because it may be the highlight of the area, but it certainly is not bright there. Plus, if anything, that actually... Okay, that's actually a little bit better. It's actually not bad. Let's bring this back up here. Because I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep the... Okay, I'm going to do this because I want the spot of the corner of the robe to be the darkest. And I'll reinforce where the actual robe itself is. So let's do that. Make it a bit darker in the actual robe itself. And add highlight back in where the robes. Oh, let's bring the size down a bit and then we'll add the highlight back in this way. Okay. Starting to get more shaping up here. I had to remind myself what flow is. I want to say I don't count as my own viewer. Please tell me I don't. I really hope I don't count as my one viewer. I'd be actually pretty sad. Huh. Okay. So while I'm here, I think I'm going to hit quit. I'm going to hit Control S. Save my progress. And I might actually reorient the... Well, let's make... I don't think I need the walls visible. Expansion doors need to be visible. Layer 9 is that. I don't need the Ruka thing. I don't think I need Ruka either. Maybe I can cut down... Ow. Maybe I can cut down a little bit on the... I guess maybe I can cut down a little bit on the weight, because my computer's not happy with me right now. Then again, it might just be because I'm streaming. Who knows? Okay. I think I might be my only viewer. Yeah, I think I'm my only viewer. Well, the point is to keep going, right? Well, let's add the darker areas where they're supposed to be. Remind myself what I'm trying to do here. I don't know. Add base coat one more time. Then we add highlight again. I'm going to do a bit higher density now. I'm going to airbrush that last bit so that it actually comes out the color it's supposed to. I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to add a few hints at where the highlight is supposed to go. Yeah, when I first used to do this stuff, it was usually, you know, pretty blah. If that, you know, if that means anything. I usually frown on using the blur tool, but if I'm going to do airbrushed lines, I feel like I can get away with it. If I'm just trying to provide a hint of where things are at. Let's add the walls back in. How does that look? Wow. Okay. Well, maybe I did make it too boring. Not really surprised. Oh well. Kind of talked to myself anyways, so what makes now any different, really? And while I'm here, let's add that, and add a very slight amount of glow. Let's add a slight amount of glow there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a few areas where these are supposed to be highlighted due to its actual, you know, light area. Now, let's go back to the colors that are supposed to be at this point, and I'll clean the trim back up. Let's mess up. Well, let's fix that last one. Alright. So, let's go ahead and bring this back up, and we're going to go back to the airbrush, and we're going to redefine where this is breaking off here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring this way. Might fix the sash the way it's supposed to be and then bring it down a layer. I feel like that's a little bit wiser than what I was about to do. let's make the walls invisible again. And then we're going to do it this way. That way I can actually see where the sash ends. Let's try this again. Oh, I know. So this way, we'll go back to cloak body, and we're actually going to erase some of this to bring the cloak into the shape it's supposed to be when he's leaning over like that. Now I'm kind of trying to work, I guess, down from here. Just going to merge that down. I did, yeah, I did. Good, good, good. I'm going to delete that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the cloak body, and I'm going to bring the brush size down a bit. And I'm going to start adding the shading for his little cloak here. And we'll go back to the base coat, and we'll see about adding a bit more of a, I guess, glow, or reflection, I guess, I don't know. And then we're going to go to airbrush, and we're going to fix the edges a bit. We're going to go back to brush, and we're going to fix that back down again. Go back to that. I'm going to do this. Okay. Oh. So there's been... Okay. Hmm. Welcome to the stream. Sorry if it's taking me a second. I'm kind of, got a couple things I gotta manage. Alright. And I just dropped my stylus. Lovely. And hello, Paul Ruzafa, I believe. If that's how you say it. I don't know. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so fair warning, guys. I'm sorry if it seems a little, weird. Oh, currently I am working on a, I guess you could say work in progress right now. It's actually kind of based on something I was working on at work today and yesterday even, regarding just kind of a scene I had in mind. I have a couple of funny little side things I intend to add to this that are terrible in retrospect, but hilarious for what they were. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add another set here, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add this behind Maruma. Oh, that's the railing. Okay, I want that actually behind the railing too. Yeah, it's actually something terrible but hilarious at the same time. So I'm going to name this because Ruka walked in at a very inopportune moment, according to the drawing. So I'm going to have to actually add another layer, and I'll worry about that later. I'll just file that away. And shut up. Oh? Right on. Where are you working at? I mean, that is if you're free to say so, It's whatever. But yeah, I personally work a caption call, so I currently have nothing better to do with my life, than, this. Let's open the for sale thing back up. I think I did the foot, the knee, the cloak. I'm going to work on the arms for a second so I have something to go off of. Programmer Barcelona! Woohoo! As I said, I am what could be called a captioneer at Caption Call. It would actually be month 3 that I'm working there, so, there's that. Technically, the appropriate title would be captioning agent, which technically means I sit there and I literally, do nothing but listen to what person 1 says and parrot it back. It's actually terrible to say, but it's kind of an annoying job, kind of a boring one too. So let's start with defining the lowlights here based on the perspective I added and the way that the wrinkles should behave. Now, because I am not doing this with the, I guess I'm not providing things beforehand. I don't know how I'm going to go about that. That's going to be a little interesting. I mean, I have this. What I might do is I might actually... yeah, what I think I might do is I might just bring the arm in a little bit more. Let's bring that down. And we'll turn that into an actual cloth movement. Now, I think I'm going to add a bit of the highlights here around the areas that actually need them, which for the time being actually means across his shoulder, trailing a little bit down his arm because of reasons. It's going to be a little bit across this way, the occasional highlight this way because of where the light is, a few across here, and then we're going to have a couple highlights across here. Okay. Well, we're at 2 viewers for 2 hours. There's that. Always awesome. Oh well. We keep on keeping on, don't we? Alright, so let's work with mid-tone here. And we'll use this to help define some of what's currently going on in this area here. Oi. I don't want to keep doing that. Oh, stop that. Stop that. That's bad. There we go. Let's do this. So we're going to use the brush tool here. We're going to bring the size down a bit further. And I'm going to be working at almost excruciating levels of detail, of proximity here. Actually, no, let's do it this way. So let's start with this. Now let's use the darker color and we'll start adding the shading that goes along with that. Let's see. I'm being lazy. Okay, so let's bring this up this way. So because of the way that the sleeve is rolled around here, I'm actually going to be doing a bit of interesting stuff with this. Or maybe I'll just consider it interesting. You guys might find this a little annoying. but I have a bit of stretch and distortion to add here. Now, because of the way that this is going, I'm actually going to do this. Be very carefully outline where that ends. Then I'm going to start adding a few of the more prominent shadows across the front here. And I'll realign that shadow here in a second. Under the collar. Alright. Okay, just a quick heads up pull. I'm gonna hope I don't, I hope I don't mess up the way you say your name. But just a little bit of advice, and this is the same thing that my family works with, because my mother draws, my sister draws, I draw, my grandma does. Just a quick heads up is that anyone can draw. And I'm sure it's about the same concept as just about anyone could potentially do the programming, could program if they would put in the time and energy to practice, the time and energy to learn. About the same way as nothing is difficult, only time consuming, which is kind of like one of my favorite phrases. And the way I'm going to put this is that you can. All you have to do is be willing to put in the time and the effort to practice. And that, I know, is usually a pretty higher end request than a lot of people like to admit. I mean, it's not a lot of people like to hear that, yes, you can draw, you just have to put in the time, because everyone's going to take that the way that, at least the way I would say, a lot of people take that the way that I don't mean it. Which is, it's about the same thing as the ending of Minecraft, the was supposed to be inspirational has lately been taken, or not lately, but it was very frequently taken as an insult, like the game was saying to get off the couch and do something, which is actually not what they meant at all. But a lot of people took it that way. So just in the same, I'm getting off track here a little bit, but in the same respect, drawing is kind of the same way in that, nothing is difficult, only time consuming. You get what you put into it, for the most part. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just kind of don't strike it lucky in some respects, and that makes me want to cry when I see that. But that is neither here nor there. So let's see if I can do this without screwing up his collar any further. Now, because of the way this shoulder is, I'm actually going to have these spanning out this way, and I'm probably either going to have to bring, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to bring this shoulder down now that I realize it. And I don't know, I might just take the cat out of the bag here and say my real name, but I don't like doing that. Alright, so let's go to the brush, and we'll use the same darkening thing I was working with earlier, and I'm going to set some of the basic stuff here. Because, I mean, anyone who's seen the way I do my speed paints and stuff like that, I love adding some of the darkness first and working around the light afterward. And a lot of that's just because it's a lot easier once you get it into that mindset of I've already got the shadows worked out. All I have to do now is just work on the highlights. And sometimes that's easier said than done, and sometimes that's easier done than said. So, it's kind of a give and take there. I'm only doing it this way because it makes more sense to me. But, I'm also really lazy. So, I'll be the first to admit I'm really freaking lazy, but sometimes it's because it makes more sense that way. Now, granted, this is not a lazy way to do this. This is actually kind of more work if you think about it, but I don't like to think about it. I don't like to think about things. I'll leave the thinking to the philosophers. Ah, that's terrible. So I am rambling a little bit, and I will openly admit that. I honestly didn't even expect that I would get a lot of this done in the first place, let alone, what I have so far done. So I'm kind of on a, I guess you could say I'm a little bit of a high horse here. I I feel like I'm doing something, which is nice. I usually don't feel that way. I'm usually afraid of feeling like I'm doing nothing, but I don't think we're here to discuss fears. There shouldn't be fear or insecurities among us. Only because, frankly, I don't know, you guys are better than that. I don't feel like my people should ever have to worry about that for real. I feel like when you guys watch my channel, you should feel better about your life and about things. I don't know. Aspirations from a geek. What can you do? I just like the idea that I like the idea of, I guess I should say, I like the idea of my stuff being kind of soothing, but I know that to a lot of people it's not. I know that a lot of what I do might actually be kind of counterproductive to what I'm trying to do, but nothing I can really do about that by this point, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't know. I mean, you guys don't usually talk to me. So I'm kind of left fumbling in the dark half the time, but, it's whatever. And I've been on the stream for 2 hours. Didn't think I could do that. Haha. I don't know. Maybe I'm just selling myself short. Okay, so now we start adding the highlights. Okay. What I never really knew how to do is things like this, where all the light kind of merges into this one area. But I'm kind of trying to trick my own eye here, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really good at this part. Like, I don't know how to do this properly, so if it makes you feel any guys better. If it makes you guys feel any better, you are not alone when it comes to having drawings, your own specifically, stump you. I kind of have that happen a lot. I don't know how many people I'm talking to. I haven't really looked at my view count in this in a while, because last time I made myself sad. But yeah. Let's see if I can make this look right. Because I got the cloth body looking. Oh, crap, that's ugly. Okay, so let's actually go back to the cloak body, and we are going to repair this. Oh, why don't I just airbrush it? That would be so much smarter. And I'm going to currently platform. I don't need a platform. What I need is layer 9. Right? Right. So, okay. Actually, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to click all that again. Select, selection, invert. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything outside these two, selection, invert. And I'm going to go to cloak body, and I'm going to erase across here, so that he is actually leaning over the railing. Oh yeah, yeah. Paint tool sigh. I'm just really, I had someone get it for me, and I haven't really, I used to use GIMP too specifically, and I didn't really like it very much. I mean, it was great for what I was starting off with, but I didn't like it very much afterward. So, there's that. Yeah, word to the wise. Gimp 2 is not nice. Like, it's anyway, sorry if I tend to babble a little bit. It's, it's just, this is the best I can do at the moment. I'm just kind of trying to move along here, I don't really know what I'm doing half the time. I'm usually okay with that, but today is one of those weird off days. All right, so I can't tell if you're the only one watching or not, because I can't check how many people are watching the live chat without, going to it. So we'll see. I don't know if they like that though. We'll see. Okay, so let's do the next part of this, because now that I got his sleeves for the most part ready to go, I hated that. That sucked. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to. We'll use this layer. Now let's start with this. Selection, invert. Selection, invert. Oh, I would have to invert that again. Invert, because I'm going to select that and that. And then selection, invert one more time. Oh, okay. Selection, invert. Let me try this again. So, ooh, how would I do this? Oh, selection, invert, use that, select there, and select, selection, invert, and I'm going to probably want to, no, I think I might want to do this, let's go invert, and then we're going to do that. This is going to be interesting. I had this a bit ago. There's got to be a way to do this. Well, let's start by doing this. Yep, I would have to get this all separately done. I had to fiddle with it. I just had to fiddle with it. Oh well. So if I'm going to do that, what I want to do is I'm going to want to use layer 9 to use that. And what I want to. Okay. Control Z. Invert. And what I want to do is I'm going to Hmm. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just Control D, and I'll try this again. We'll start with this. Actually, I don't see why that should be a problem. Let's just do this. Because technically, I already have everything I need to worry about. Okay. Okay. Change of plan. After confusing the living daylights out of myself for a little bit, let's click water to the right area. After confusing the daylights out of myself for a few minutes, let's get back to what we were doing. Like, I forgot how to shade, and I forgot how to select for a few minutes, and I realized that I didn't really need to worry about that yet. So let's start by adding the shadowing, because this area of his body is very, very dark. Because of the lack of area putting on light on here. So by this point, we're actually doing this. Hey. Let's just do this. So we're going to do that, and let's do this. And I think I'm doing the highlights where the low lights should be, but there's not much I'm going to do about that right now. And let's go ahead and use this, and we're going to airbrush in where the cloak itself is supposed to be. I did a confuse to myself, so sorry. Okay. Now, let's use a bit of highlights to see where that's supposed to go. Because I know that's supposed to go here, which I can actually probably just leave that there. And then this is going to go across here, because it's actually the back where the real highlight is. This area, I can tell right now, is going to be a lot more shading than highlights. And that's, that's actually okay. It just makes things a little more interesting. Mostly because it's going to be a lot of this. It's a very slight highlight where that's supposed to be. And then it's going to be a lot of this after that. Because all of this shading is going to be defining a spot where it's no longer bright. That's all. Let's pick my darkest color again. You know, it occurred to me that if you look at this at its full resolution, you will see a lot of really lazy errors. Okay, so let's use a quick blur here. Okay. We'll use a bit of blur here. I just have to be sure I know where I'm blurring. Now let's go ahead and use the brush, and I'm going to use the mid highlight, which can be the most highlight this area is going to get. Okay, I've got the base areas that are actually, standing out. let's use a darker color, and we'll start bringing this down. And we're going to do this. And then we'll bring this back over this way. And then we're going to do this. So I feel like I'm having more arguments than successes at the moment. Then, because this is probably what's throwing me off the worst, let's reset where this is supposed to go. That might actually be better. Thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate that. Whew. Ugh. Might be smart of me to add stuff like that anyways. Who knows? Wow. Alright. So... Oh, okay. Let me see what I can do with this stuff. Alright. So in case you guys haven't noticed, I am usually kind of like, I don't know, I'm kind of weird about some of the stuff that I do. Like, I enjoy what I'm, currently working on, but, there's not really much I can do. Okay, so let's get back to what to do. It actually looks like Vercel's almost completely done here, aside from a bit of twitchy stuff on the arms, so that's going to be interesting. Yeah, the arms are going to irritate me. Oh god, let's start working on that fuzzy bird head. That's going to be fun. But now that I got that, I don't need to have the selection layer open. And let's go ahead and hit save real quick so that I don't lose all the BS I just put myself through to get his cloak ready. Alright. So. Whew. God, Ruka's going to be hard. Ugh. Okay. So I've got his patch color. So let's do something interesting. Let's start by doing a bit of outlining for what each of these sections are going to look like roughly. because I know what I'm trying to do, but a lot of it's going to be very difficult to do. So, nostril. Now, Vercel is an avian, which makes things interesting. Okay. So he's going to have a very, very... He's going to have a very condescending look on him at the moment. God, this is going to be interesting. Okay. Now I have to also keep in mind a couple things, because that's going to have to do the fluffy. Now, keep in mind the actual facial curve. Since losing his planet, Vercel is a very unhappy bird. So, let's see. Let's set his eye patch locale, I guess. I'll fix that here in a bit. Set that. And then the way I put this was it actually went up here, then went curved backward. Let's set his actual eyebrow area. So he actually has one little spot that goes up, a couple little areas, and then it starts doing this again. Oh god, this is gonna suck! Well, if I'm gonna do that, well, let's reset the actual eye itself, which means we're going to have, well, let's remember the way that I usually set avian eyes. Oh, I probably set that lower. Like, the look he gave Ruka was supposed to be like 1000% judgment. Like, exactly what did you expect to see? But I have a couple things I have to add into this, and one of those is the fact that Vercel has not slept. The other one is that, well, he's got a couple interesting things added on. Let's see, we're going to actually add some of that this way. Not a lot. Oh, I actually added the eye patch this way. Well, if I'm going to do it this way, I might as well actually flesh it out the way it's supposed to be. And as Vercel actually wears this thing naturally because he has an injured eye, which is actually part of his own escape. But I'll deal with that later. Now I have something to work with. Now what I'm going to do, selection, filter. Let's add some luminescence. Okay. Let's go ahead and get the eraser. Let's bring this as high up as I can get it. And then we're going to bring the density way down, because what I'm doing is I'm going to make sure that I can actually sketch through this. I'm going to make sure that I can see what I'm doing through it. Filter, brightness and contrast, we're going to bring brightness down. Okay. Now, let's bring the eraser back down, because I'm going to need that. And now I can start working on his face. Oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do first. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I should probably check. Give that duck glass? What? Hello. Give that duck glass. I love it. Okay. Well, technically he's an avian, but you know, it's whatever. Ow. So, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. Ow. Okay, so I have to re-establish. Oh god, this is gonna suck. Okay. Well, as we always put it, if anyone can do it, dot dot dot. Start with that. Let's create a highlight airbrush. We'll go to the, yeah, it's actually on this one. So highlight, we have the spot for. Let's go back to this and we'll start adding the low light, which I'm going to do that. And it'll be a darker thing. A lot of this is very much, yeah, let's actually start with the low light, shall we? No, 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 I know what I was going to do. I know what I was going to do. Okay, I don't remember what I was going to do. Oh yeah, I know what I was supposed to do. Okay, so we're going to do the select pen, bring that size down to fit the eyeball size. I'll just say that'll be good. Okay, airbrush. So we're actually going to add a new layer. So, ooh, I know. Let's have a vote. What color should Vercel's eye be? Because I think this is a question that isn't usually asked in, you know, standard Starbound. I don't think you usually get I don't think you get to ask what color their eyeball is. Oh well. You know what? Let's start with a green, and I'll actually be able to change the hue and saturation, all the yada yada yada. I'll change that as a hue and saturation shift. So, let's make that invisible for a second. And let's choose a much darker green for the center of the eye. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this. Because of where that is, we're going to make that a bit more of a shaky thing. And now we can add the brush. And what we're going to do is this. Use the brush to make it green at first, and then I'll decide, or I suppose maybe you guys decide, who knows. But there will be a decision as to whether or not his eye color should be something different than this green. And I actually don't have a feeling left or right about that, so we'll see. Now let's bring this up a little more. I should probably zoom in, bring this size down, so that I can keep this the way I wanted it to be. Now let's use a bit more of a rich green. We're going to airbrush in the... Oh, derp, why didn't I just do this? We're going to airbrush in the arc of color. We're going to do a blur. Okay, now we have the main arc. Use that green again. We're going to brush this in one more time. We're going to bring the density up a little higher. And I think we'll bring the brush size down a bit further. Okay, there's that. And we're going to actually make that as dark as we can get it again. And we're going to run a blur back over this to get it rounded back out to where it's supposed to be. Then we'll use something as close to white as we can get. We're going to airbrush this in a very small area. Now let's look at the comment. And I think I'm the only one watching again, which is depressing. So, now that I got that, we'll add an even brighter speck. Very slight here. Actually, no, let's add a little bigger because it's reflecting not just what should be there, but it's reflecting attached to the other lights in the room. Okay. Yeah, I think, anyone got any thoughts? Use my ask filter, hue and saturation. I can shift the hue of this eye to literally any color, bring saturation down and luminescence up. In fact, I could actually bring this to a deep red if I wanted. Any thoughts? Hmm. Huh. Well, shoot. Shoot. I feel like green is striking, but I want to do kind of a blue eye. If I do that, I'm going to want to bring saturation up and luminescence down a bit. Ooh. I could go with more of a purple color, bring saturation down a bit. Bring luminescence. I don't know, I might have to do that with actual contrast. I'm kind of killing time. Kind of asked you guys what color should be, because I have no idea. don't know. We'll go with something closer to a turquoise slash teal. Yeah, we'll do it that way. Screw it. We'll go filter, brightness and contrast, color deepen. I can do contrast. We'll bring the contrast up a bit so that his eye actually stands out a bit. Okay. All right. Teal it is. Well, closer to turquoise or sky blue. I don't know. Okay. Now, a layer under that. Let's add the actual. We'll start with that. I'm going to add a slightly more pinkish. Okay, let's look at the basic parameters for the eye color. We'll bring this around this way. Okay, let's minimize that. Ew, do not minimize that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to decide where I want the actual eyelash, or rather eyelid level to be. What we're going to do is I'm going to run a select across here and then a deselect across the inside. And then add 2 layers. I'm going to hold this still. Select is going to go a bit further out. I'm going to go here, and we're going to eraser that, and then we're going to go this one, and we're going to eraser that. Now that I got, I'm going to go up a layer, and I'm going to actually airbrush in the eyelid to compensate for that. Because I forgot what that does when you do that. Okay. So now that I got that, I'm going to establish the eyelid here. That might do it. Okay, now that I got that going, basically the main concept here is that Vercel is not happy. Not happy at all. He is not a happy avian. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this again. But I'm going to do this blind. Eh. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fill in up to the area here where it's supposed to be. And now that I got that, let's write this. I think I can eliminate. I don't know, I think I might have put that on the wrong layer, but whatever. now that I got that, I should be able to eliminate that. No, I'm not going to, but I am going to do this. Add a layer. And now, I can probably add things like the eyebrow. Go back to this layer. I'm going to add almost no density so that I can actually do this. And I'm going to decide eyebrow area, eyebrow curve, because when I had done this drawing, Vercel was supposed to be watching Ruka with the very what were you expecting to see look on his face. But now that I have to do this way, I think I have to adjust the way that I had this. So let's do that. Cool. So we're doing that. Let's make sure that he's clearly glaring. And we'll go to this layer. We'll set the midpoint for his face. The eyebrow will usually lead it, which means we're going to set the eyebrow about here. We're going to set that curve here and bring this up that way. Oh, I know. Oh. To be completely honest, I kind of had something of that problem with the little overshadowing layer, and that's not a good thing. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to lay off of most of the detail there for a bit. I'm going to hop to the brush. I'm going to bring up the density. I think I'm going to start working on the parts that I didn't want to mess with, which is to say the actual colored shading. Ooh, I want less saturation there. Does that work? I think that'll work. It'll have to for now. So, no, I think I probably just need to make that a warmer color. Because I think that's a lot more believable for what it's supposed to be. Ew. Let me back a lot of that up because I don't like that. I just don't. There we go. You know, you are kind of correct. I'm just very, very picky with how I do a lot of this stuff. Let's pick that, and we'll bring it back. Go bring it downward. Okay, just remember how this goes. Because at this point, he's doing the angry glare. Okay, there's going to be a slight overlay under that. The frown. Center of the eye. And everything under the eye patch is dark. I think part of the reason why this isn't looking right yet is because I haven't added the highlights, and that might actually have something to do with it. Yeah, I think that might actually have something to do with this right now. So, everything under the eye patch is dark. Okay. Which is I want to erase some of that. Come on, careful. Oh, why don't I just bring this down? looks so much more judgmental. I love it. Oh, because I actually don't do strictly streaming. I'm just doing streaming now. A lot of the stuff I do is recorded videos. That's actually why the you know the why I'm not doing Picardo or Pixel. Because I do a lot of uh, recording, like pre-done recording. I actually do a lot of speed paints recently. Well, not recently, but I did for a while. And it's just it was easier for me to use YouTube instead of other things. I mean, even including Twitch. Sadly, it's just it became a matter of convenience. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Is YouTube became a matter of convenience after a while. Okay, so let's do that, and then we'll set that. Fuzzy bird forehead. And then we'll actually bring this up here. And I will set the darkness for that here in a bit. Oh god, this is going to be a pain. Okay. Well, as I always put it, if anyone can do it. Dot, dot, dot. Probably shouldn't do this in strictly highlights, but whatever. But now I can go through the eraser and clear up the nasty bits that I decided against having. Look at me, streaming. Something I swore I probably would never do. Haha, probably. Or it's like probably never or probably always. Two most used. Maybe so. The only thing is that I also do a lot of gaming stuff, so I guess I've got too many dabblings in too many things, and I just kind of enjoy the YouTube for its simplicity and being able to express those, despite the fact that I joined pretty darn late to do that. I don't know. Like I'm noting that I did kind of join a lot later than I should have in terms of jumping on the YouTube bandwagon, and that's not very happy about that. But it is what it is. To tell the truth, I'm actually kind of quite depressed about that. But it's whatever. It's I don't know how to put this. It's just kind of like I did the best I could do, and I decided I don't want to do that. Let's actually pick that darkened color, and I'm gonna overlay that because I wanted that to be something good. There. Now, granted, this is not me saying that I won't join things like Pixel or Picardo, which I think I might actually. I'm gonna go ahead and type those down. It's just that as I do live with family at the moment, it does make it difficult to do a lot of recording and streaming. So there. So I want to keep that. I need that. All right. Okay. So let's eliminate the overlayer. Ew. Messy, messy. Got a lot of cleanup. Well, if I'm going to do that, let's go to the eraser and let's actually clean up that beak of his. It's a bit better there, so let's do that. I'm going to airbrush the original shape of it on the shape I wanted. Oh, crap, I want a higher density than that. So we're going to airbrush on the shape I wanted. And then we're going to pick a lighter color for airbrushing on, or sure, brushing on. Because when I say he's got a beak, that's not me. That's not me being mean. He actually does. And then let's go ahead and airbrush that on as a highlight. Let's go back to that, and we will add darker and richer and see how that actually works as a low light. It's terrible, but I'm only starting, so you know. Let's go ahead and, oh crap, if I'm gonna blur, I'm gonna bring that up. It's actually not too terribly bad as a low light. Yeah, I kind of do actually. I mean, I've done, I've done a troll. I've done usually Five Nights characters lately, but actually not lately. But I was doing Five Nights characters for a while, and on my actual like pencil and paper stuff, I was drawing, I was drawing Starbound stuff actually, to tell the truth. Actually, I'm gonna look through here for a second. I'm gonna let myself get sidetracked for a second so I can look for something. Because I have had a lot of inspiration from a couple random things, and some of it being Starbound, some of it being heck, I even jumped on the what is it? I even jumped on the Undertale bandwagon a little while ago, but like make sure that I actually have this captured because I usually don't show extra stuff, but I have done other things. I just haven't really done a lot of them, But anyway, I figured I'd throw that in there. I'm gonna actually look through my stuff for a couple seconds. Pardon me if that this is a little sidetracking / meta, but I have done other things aside from my anthro stuff. I do enjoy Gaster. He's a fun character to draw. He's annoying to draw. I know he's not consistent with the style I originally gave him, but I figure, whatever. And then, I have a lot of things that I do otherwise that are anthro. So, I mean, I can't argue with your comment about doing a lot of anthro. It's just I not as much as I want to, you know? Like, for the most part, my big thing is I'm having a lot of fun with Starbound. I mean, it's a fun little thing, I have my moments, and it does provide a great deal of practice should I decide to indulge in it. So I mean, I think that's probably why I draw so much stuff. And then there are a couple of characters that I haven't done in either, story or online drawings like Abraham and Namiko, which they were just kind of fun. And I do have an idea of what Maruma was going to look like, but I haven't gotten... I guess I haven't gotten around to actually polishing it. Like, I did this, like, in between calls while I was, at work. So, it can go left or right from here. I have no idea. Anyway, didn't mean to derail like that, but yeah. Figured I might as well show you guys what I've been up to lately. And then I think let's work on something else today. Oh yeah. So you know how I was telling you guys about how this was actually like done with pencil and paper at work while I was at work. This is kind of what I meant. I had Ruka and Vercel kind of planned out. And it's partly why I'm having so much trouble at the moment. Because, like, Grr. So yeah, that's what today's drawing is, except with better style. Anyway, figured I'd go ahead and derail for a second and, lend a thought to what I've been up to. Now I got the fun part known as fixing up this creep. Okay, so let's go back to the brush. And let's go ahead and repair that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what I can do about fixing this back up the way I wanted it to be. Let's add a bit more of the darkness here because of where that's at. I'm going to blur that because that's actually not a hard shadow. Let's see. You're not a hard shadow. You're actually the thing here. You are going to be blurred out. Let's see. You are going to want to be blurred out because of where you actually sit. And now let's go ahead and start putting you back where you're supposed to be so that I can fix some of this crap. So I'm actually going to add the highlight here across this way because you are actually part of the forehead. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw the eraser across here and do it this way. And then I'm going to do that and brush. Let's see if I can't fix your forehead back up. Oh yeah, you have a rounded forehead because, well, we have an angular forehead. Okay. I do mutter to myself a lot. I'm sorry if that annoys people. A lot of what I do, I don't have a huge idea of what I'm doing yet. A lot of this is kind of guess and check. So there's that. Now I would actually need to do an extra layer and what to do mostly dark, and I'm going to brush you in where you're supposed to be, or where you're supposed to be, so it doesn't look so terrible when I'm working on this. So let's do it this way, and I'm going to give myself a very rough idea of where you're sitting. Because the whole point of this drawing was that Vercel was incredibly judgmental. That's literally the whole point of this. Now I'm going to bring this up and over, and I will be fixing that up. Actually, is that the right? No. Because that's on an extra layer, I'm going to do it this way, and then I'm going to do the airbrush, and that's over here. Now, in the story that I was writing, Vercel actually got this eye patch from Maruma. I don't know why she had it, she just kind of did. I didn't feel like writing that part, so, it's whatever. Saved, I did do a little bit of. I kind of save off and on. As far as canvas flips, I don't usually do that very often. I should, but I usually don't think to. Although, thank you for reminding me. I actually probably would have forgotten that after a while. Huh. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and airbrush in Vercel's geeky, goofy eyebrows. Except I'm going to set the base of the eyebrow a heck of a lot lower than it was. So I feel like the higher the back of the eyebrow is, the more judgmental he looks like he is. And that's kind of the point. Like, this whole drawing was that Vercel is incredibly displeased with the she who tried to peeping Tom on the avian and his girlfriend, so we'll see how that goes. Whew. Okay. So I think I'm going to finish up Vercel's spot here. And I might actually call this, well, I might just call it a night. Like, I actually did not expect to have more than one viewer, strangely enough. And I know it's a little depressing and it's a little cynical of me, but that's kind of where I've been sitting with this. I think I'm going to go ahead and finish up Vercel here. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I want him to be ready to go. Dang it. The cool thing is by this point I can actually keep going with the brush and I can add his shading layer again. Add a bit stronger layer here. And I might have to airbrush in the little nostril bug thing. I don't know. And then nostril here. Gallery. Yeah, honestly, I've been doing a lot of Minecraft lately. Like, that's kind of what I've been up to. And a game called Planet Centauri, but the start is so slow and no one wants to see that. You know? Okay, let's go ahead and I think this is one of those things where I might actually want to do this the smarter way. Okay. Oh, okay. So you actually have the eyes, so I'm gonna go to here, and I'll actually consider this the official eye decorations. Just there, we'll go airbrush, and we'll add this section here. Because that was kind of the next spot anyways. Okay. He looks angrier than he was supposed to be. But unfortunately, as Vercel is technically not ready for his, Actually, let's airbrush that in as a secondary dark. And we'll try brushing that in and see what happens. Okay. Wow, he looks angry. Good. Well, kind of good. He wasn't really supposed to be angry so much as, whatever. So I actually haven't fiddled with this in a real sense. Ooh, ew, 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 ew. Bad. I know that when you use it in several layers at once, I don't know. We'll see. I know that when you use it in several layers it looks better, but a lot of times that does not. Let's just bring that down a bit. Let's try adding its base color back in. Same thing here. Let's add a dash of the primary shading color here. Because Vercel is not a happy bird here. Let's see if I can actually get this to look right. Shading, which is actually here would go about here because of where the lights are. Only thing is the ones on the top of this head are going to be hard to shade in because of the ways the lights are showing. Which means I'm going to want to do this and remind myself where the lighting is. There we go. And bring this back over here. Let's add a dash of shading 1 again. And here's where I'm going to start adding actual like cheek fuzz. And we're going to bring an eraser through here. Go back in the proper colors, and then we're going to go brush again. And we're going to very carefully throw this back in here the right way. And then we're going to bring very, very low density. And then we're going to go back to the eraser because I screwed it up again. Hiya! Let's go to, it's an arms? Yeah, it's an arms, okay. So arms is going to be incredibly easy to fix up here because frankly it's a lot of shading here because this is all in shadow. Once I get arms thrown in the correct lighting format, let's go ahead and grab a bit of the good shade, and I'll start brushing in where it's necessary, which in this case is very little, but it would pretty much be this. Lazy. Lazy, lazy, lazy. God, I think this is bad. Ruka's gonna suck. But whatever, it's Ruka. Oh, be on base coat. Very, very little. Let's see, let's go ahead and blur that in again. I might have messed that one up a bit too bad. I know the rest of it's kind of coming along fine for the most part. Let's go ahead and brush that back in because frankly this area here is supposed to look nice. But the thing is I have such a hard time with the large sections of flat skull. I don't really know what to do with them most of the time. But let's go ahead and see what I can do about adding. Oh, this is gonna look terrible. I don't know, maybe not. Let's bring the density back up, and we're gonna go this way. Okay. Because right now his feathers are actually closer to hair than anything. My God, this is terrible. Going nuts here. Well, I always put this as if anyone can do it, it'd have to be me. That's because I'm a little... I don't know. I had jokes I was going to make, but lately I realized my jokes are very cynical. Let's see. Okay. Actually, I think if I were to bring most of this down to the base shadow, it might look better because there may be a light over his shoulder, but that doesn't mean everything's going to be illuminated nicely. Especially not around this area. Yeah, because technically, the lights are behind his back because he's looking over the railing. So very much unlike what my usual drawings are like, the darkest areas would actually be in the center of his face. God, this is going to be interesting. Which means by this point I would have to use the dark to actually add any real shade. My God, I feel like this is getting worse by the second. Which is bad because it's not actually. I just have to remember how this goes. Paint tool, sigh. Woo. Hmm. I feel like it's... Actually, I feel like if I were to extend this way, instead of what I was trying to do, I might be able to eliminate some of his, you know, bad. Okay. So, I'm not as good at this as I thought I was. So there's a bit of a reminder there. Actually, more accurately, I'm not as good at this as I'd like to be. I think that's the real truth there. Why, thank you, Nikki. I actually appreciate that. Oh, God, I think I'm probably adding just too much thought into this. Ugh. Wait, did I actually... I did. Oh, well. Never dedicated 3 hours to a drawing before. At least, not 3 hours straight. Ugh. Ow. Yeah, I've never dedicated 3 hours to a stream. Never dedicated 3 hours to a stream before. This is a first. But I feel like if I dedicate any more to fixing up poor Vercel here, I'm gonna go nuts. But the alternative is working on Maruma, and I don't want to do that. That's gonna be painful. Oh yeah, derp. Back to base code. So I think what I'm gonna want to do is I want to do this counterintuitively, so that what usually I would make is the I guess you could say the what I would usually make as the shadow areas, I might have to make as the actual lighting, which I don't like doing. So let's bring this back up this way. Let's bring this back out this way. Because I have to set where the actual... I have to set where the actual area is. Dang it, this is painful. Okay, so what should be the highlights... Oh, crap. What should be the highlights are going to be here. Across the cheekbone. And up this way. But what I might have to do is I might actually have to do it this way. There's that. God, I never thought I'd use something like this. So is that the... Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way. So what I'm doing now is I have to bring those feathers down because, frankly, I realized they were getting out of hand. Every time I thought I had a problem, I would, add a bit more to the feathers, and I think that's probably a bad idea. See, that looks much better. Well, not really. I'd want to bring this down further because, frankly, yes, he does have ruffled feathers in this. He's supposed to. Not because it's irritable, but because, frankly, Vercel is up to some naughty things. What? What did the reference hard? What that supposed to mean? I'm confuzzled. Okay, so now let's do basic color. Let's bring this down. And now we're going to start fixing this up a bit. Because now all I really have to do is this. Now let's bring that. So I'm repairing the nasty cuts here. Let's brush this. Carefully brush it, really. Let's eraser this back into shape. Let's just forget that was there. And then let's go ahead and bring that back down again. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So now I'm going to do the cheap thing, and I'm going to use this to start setting what should have already been set in place. Which is to say, okay, I think I got this now. Let's go ahead and blur that for a second. Brush that into its what should be shape again. Decided the brush tool works best on fur, not feathers. Hmm. Well, mind you, a lot of this is done with the pixel art sprites of Starbound, and that's probably part of where I'm having such a hard time, because uh, this is mostly done with improv, really, which is terrible. I should know better, but I'm lazy, and I should be ashamed of myself for it. But it's currently where I'm at. I mean, like, I know I'm lazy and I shouldn't really settle for what I'm doing, but because I guess the biggest thing is I know that this is being lazy. I guess I'm constantly caught up between feeling terrible and just it's whatever, and I think I should probably be a bit more, I guess you could say, on top of my style, but lately I've just kind of been like, yeah. Which in and of itself is bad. Like, I'm not really one to talk, but I feel like there shouldn't you shouldn't really be angry at your style. You should probably just kind of like try to improve it, and I guess that's part of where I kind of falling short and that I'm doing neither. I'm just kind of like going with what I'm doing. I shouldn't. But as I said, I don't really have a healthy view of what I should and shouldn't be doing. I'm kind of like making it up as I go with my stuff lately, which is terrible. I know better. Okay, let's add one more dark layer, add one more highlight, specifically along the beak. I screwed up there. Let's go ahead and I might have to put that back into shape again. Brush. Let's go ahead and throw that back into shape one more time. Let's bring that a bit brighter. And, hang on a second. Hey, Cody. I've never drawn birds before. Never really been my thing. But anyway, I've taken up all the time I had. I think this is something I can work with. I'll have to work with his eye patch and eyebrow tomorrow. But that's workable, actually. Anyway, glad you guys could join me for this. And I look forward to seeing you on the next stream, which I think I should be doing tomorrow, but I might be wrong. Take care, guys. Have fun. And as always, game on.